Hello and welcome to 5 for Friday for this Friday, August 18th, 2023, where I'm back at my home office and ready to share some great signals of change just for you. I hope you enjoy watching these videos as much as I enjoy putting them together. It's so much fun to read the news and make the connections between stories and think about the impacts that they have on small businesses like yours. And with that, let's get started with this week's topics. We'll start with topic number 1, evil AI. Sure, ChatGPT can do some super cool things like write a blog post in the form of an Irish limerick or tell a bad joke. But it's also important to think about what ChatGPT can't do. For example, basic math. Apparently, ChatGPT can't identify prime numbers very well anymore. As more improvements are added on, one change to the program impacts the other parts of it, like a whack-a-mole game. More concerning, humans are finding ways to break the chatbots. One grocery store offered a recipe generator app using AI that offered up tasty options like Oreo vegetable stir-fry. But when humans input non-food items, AI just keeps creating recipes like bleach-infused rice surprise. Use your own judgment on the recipes, says the grocery store. Hackers are finding a variety of ways to convince chatbots to ignore rules against hate speech or violent suggestions through what is called prompt injection attacks. Some interesting examples in the newsletter if you subscribe to that. Oh, and you should know that those CAPTCHAs that are supposed to prove you're not a robot aren't going to work anymore. With all the AI, the bots are now more accurate than humans at answering those questions. My take? We're not quite ready to turn the controls of much of anything over to AI, but these examples are inspiring me to work on a script for a Netflix movie on chatbots gone wrong. Contact me if you want to collaborate. All right, and moving on to story number 2. An update on the return to office war. Some research shows that people working from home are less productive, but many employees feel less productive when they return to the office, but with commutes and water cooler time and all the interruptions that don't take place when you're by yourself at home. And a recent survey revealed that 2/3 of financial services executives would quit if they had to go back to the office 5 days a week. Sounds like we're living in a hybrid world for the foreseeable future. COVID definitely accelerated things, but once people saw the value of flexibility in where and when they worked, they don't want to go back to the old way of doing things. All right, let's move on to story number 3, superconductor progress. What does that mean? All right, South Korea researchers declared the world's first room temperature ambient pressure superconductor. What does that mean in English to us non-scientists? A superconductor can conduct electricity with virtually no resistance and can therefore revolutionize the fields of electronics, energy, and more. But creating a superconductor under normal conditions, temperature and pressure, has proven elusive. If this achievement really happened and is reproducible, it means that we could be on the brink of making major progress in multiple areas of science. But no one seems to care. Should you care? At least start paying attention to the term when you hear it in the news. It'll be a while, but it could create a substantial change for every industry. So watch for that term. And moving on to story number 4, more technology innovations. Speaking of substantial changes, what about metal that can heal itself or concrete that can store energy? Both of these advances were reported in the news this month, and while they're still being researched, they have tremendous potential. Imagine a road that can charge your EV while you drive, or a building foundation that stores energy from solar panels on the roof. Why should you care about these new developments? According to the World Economic Forum, staying up to date with these trends is crucial for small businesses to remain competitive, rather than fighting for survival. Now, let's move on to our final story. Story number 5, a warning, politics are involved. Let's talk about politics and business. I do try to stay away from politics usually, but this news item concerned me a bit and it seemed worth sharing. Apparently, a new conservative legal group is going after diversity programs at large companies now that affirmative action at universities has been eliminated by the Supreme Court. This includes any programs that attempt to recruit, support, or train employees who are not white men. Programs that offer leadership development for women, for example, or set executive goals to promote more people of color, with the ultimate goal of a more equitable C-suite. These programs have been declared to be racial discrimination by this group. Now, it's unlikely this group will get any traction. One suit against Starbucks was already dismissed as frivolous, but the trend is concerning. Because the fact of the matter is, funds that focus on ESG investments, that's equity, sustainability, and governance, tend to do better on average than those that don't. And companies that embrace DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, do better financially, have more innovative ideas, more productive teams, and less employee turnover. So that's all I have to say about that right now. And finally, one bonus story, a cage match update. Yes, those hyper-masculine tech bros, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, are still at it. More details in the newsletter, but the most recent news is that even though Musk tried to negotiate an ancient Rome gladiator-like fight in Italy, Zuckerberg claims that he's moving on from the fight as he doesn't believe Musk is serious. Oh, and he could totally beat him if they did fight. Toxic masculinity at its finest. All right, thanks for joining me for this week's 5 for Friday. As always, you can get this information sent to you by email if you subscribe on my webpage at learnstartgrow.com. And be sure to check out my paid subscription newsletter that gives you everything in the video and more, including all the links to the articles and my full take on these topics. You can find that also on my website at learnstartgrow.com and look for 5 for Friday. Thanks and have a great weekend.